This is Times Drive and I'm Abhishek Singh. You're watching the channel where all the action begins. And boy, do we have all kinds of action on offer. From heated political debates to the simmering anger of the common man. But at the other end of the spectrum is the kind of action that very few people appreciate. This one is for those people. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Times Now's Motorsport Wrap Special. India's vast and varied terrain provides some spectacular locations for rallying. That is why some of the oldest motorsports events in the country are all about going pedal to the metal in the back of beyond. We bring you some high points from the Indian Rally Championship, wrongly but fondly called the INRC. Normally, when we are covering a rally, we are ready to eat dust, get hit by flying pieces of gravel, and wade through water crossings to get you all the action. Today, there's none of that, because today, there's only this. This and very high speeds. I'm somewhere inside the first leg of India's only tarmac rally, the Rally of Maharashtra. It is also the season opener of the 2014 Indian Rally Championship. Tarmac is not really the habitat of the rally car. It is in fact alien territory. But the thing with territory is that it must be conquered. And so each year since the past 17 years, the tarmac roads around the quaint city of Nasik have played host to Indian rallying's finest as they battle for the national championship title.
Nasik stages have always been very technical and driver oriented, but you need a car also which handles well over fast tarmac, and so I think that is something we have. We'll just see how the setup works for us here.
The championship no longer remains just national though. What used to be the Indian National Rally Championship has now been rechristened to just the Indian Rally Championship. Leg 3 was going to be the decider. Gill was not one to take kindly to the loss of his lead. Ghosh, with close to a minute's lead, was not one to let go of it unless hell's fury rained down upon him. Things were poised to go down to the wire. Gill, livid with his unfortunate loss of lead, was out for blood. For him, it was the top step or nothing. But he was not throwing his car around like mortals do. This was the reigning APRC champion. And there was a finesse to Gill's driving in leg 3. A finesse that showed us why he did what he did. Ghosh had his lead. All he needed to do was bring it home. There was no need for recklessness. But then Murphy's Law has a strange way of creeping up on people. And it creeps up at the most inappropriate moments. What happened in leg 3 to Ghosh's XUV was one such occasion.
Very eventful day. I think we had to return the favor to Gaurav and we did it in style.
The cutting of throats and salvaging of pride, however, is limited to the competitive stages. Outside of the rally cars, there's a completely different scenario. These drivers have been trying to outdo one another for many years now, and in all those years there has been a bond forged. A bond of mutual respect, camaraderie, and the love for the madness of rallying. Coimbator's vast swathes of land, dotted with cotton fields and wind farms, have played gracious host to rallying enthusiasts since the 80s. And over the years, what eventually transformed into the JK Tyre Rally of Coimbatore is now a high-speed battle on tricky back-breaking terrain, which rally drivers look forward to year after year.
Very difficult to balance this mode of attack and also preserve the car.
Coimbatore is a rally known to break cars.
It has a very peculiar condition. Because the stage starts off as being really smooth and fast. It becomes very rough after the first run and becomes undrivable in the third run.
Alongside the rut and gravel, the Rally of Coimbatore also throws this into the mix. These mud traps possess the consistency of talcum powder, and they also possess the ability to bog down a pelting rally car. We decided to hang around one of these and see people struggle. What fun! Rahul Kantaraj was leading the 2000cc category, with Bairam Godrej breathing down his neck in a polo. Vikram Devadasan and Falguna Aras were second and third in the 1600cc class, both running polos. Leading the class, of course, was Arjun Rao, who was way up ahead, making the big boys uncomfortable in his small, harmless-looking rally monster. The polos had made their presence felt last year. This year, they came out in a show of strength, and they look set to demolish all doubts about their rallying prowess by the end of this season.
The XUV has an advantage. It's a turbocharged car, and also much more, taller in the height and bigger car, so it makes much more easier to drive in the rough conditions. But stages where it's tight and narrow, the Polo is definitely faster. Like the last year's rally in Chikmagalur, Polo's way faster.
All through last year, we brought you hard-fought, high-octane action from racing circuits across the country. Here's all that action from some of India's best race drivers. The act of pushing the limits of a machine and constantly hurtling oneself at breakneck speeds to be the first one to chase down a checkered flag is termed as racecraft. It's not just a skill that one can learn. It's called a craft because it needs to be acquired.
Motorsports is, I would say, it's growing to an extent because of the way car manufacturers are coming into the country from everywhere. They've seen a huge market for cars. That way it's growing. That way everybody is looking at motorsports as the best way to market their car. So I would say maybe in the next 5 or 10 years something will click and these youngsters will have something to look forward to.
Behind me is the V1 karting circuit in Visakhapatnam, and the heats for the final round of the 11th JK Tyre Rotax Max National Karting Championship are underway in full swing. The championships are relatively wide open and the drivers are trying their best to outdo one another. But by the end of this weekend, only one of them shall have the bragging rights to be called National Karting Champion. The final round of the JK Tyre Rotax Max National Karting Championship saw racing with the intensity of dogfights. The Micromax category saw Miko Racing's Yash Aradhya take the championship win, but only after hard fights from his fellow racers Paul Francis and Shahan Ali. In the Junior Max category, Ricky Donnison and Kush Maini, who had been at each other's throats and bumpers all through the season, took their fight into the final round and down to the wire. And a lot of drama ensued. In the pre-final races, Donnison dove in trying to take the inside line out of C1. Maini came towards the outer and ended up climbing onto Donnison's rear wheel. Ravindra lunged out of the gap that Maini had left and took the lead as Donnison recovered and was hot on his tail with Gowda in tow. Maini spun and had to settle for fourth. And in the final Junior Max race, Maini was out for blood. The World Karting Championship driver drove with immense class and chased down Donnison, who had taken an early lead in the final. Both drivers exchanged places multiple times, but Maini prevailed and won in the end. Donnison's second place earned him enough points to win the Junior Max Championship. The Senior Max category saw Reo Racing's Amir Bafna show superb tact and register a championship win in a very subtle manner. A manner that befits the calm demeanour of the young driver. Bafna outraced the grid of the most talented and fastest karting drivers in the country. Drivers who sped through the racetrack with only 1/10 of a second separating them. Bafna got a shot at the World Championships in Spain and bragging rights for being the fastest kart racer in the country for an entire year. As the Formula BMW cars get ready to race, it looks like it's going to be a tough fight. Defending national champion Vishnu Prasad has to fight with the likes of Aditya Patel, Rahil Nurani, Nayan Chatterjee and Krishna Raj Mahadik. Things will get heated up and they'll do so as fast as the cars.
It's been a great year so far, and I can't wait for the F3 test that I will get, and I want to do that and probably do well there, and definitely race abroad next year if I can find the budget for it. It's been a fantastic year, and hopefully I can race abroad now.
The Polo R Cup race was up next, and they started the proceedings in a spectacular manner. As the race polos took start and went into the first corner of the opening lap, Anshul Shah lost control of his car and went wide into the runoff area. In the process, he collected championship contender Lee Keshav Gupta and Rookie Cup winner Yatin Maggu before rolling over.
C1, I went in, I think I was running third, and one guy went on the grass, lost his car, slammed straight into me, rolled over my car. So the driver was fine, but I lost my race. I couldn't finish the race. And as you know, in racing, everyone is so competitive that even if you don't finish one race, you're gone.
Finish the championship, it feels great. And yeah, onwards and upwards to next year. This is just the beginning. We have to focus on next year on what category we're going to race in. So everything looks positive.
Vishnu Prasad was on the grid in Miko Racing colours in the indigenously built Formula LGB cars. His toughest challenger, Dark Dawn Racing's Diljit Shaji.
To finish somewhere, like I just needed like 6 points to seal my championship. So I was pretty confident that to finish somewhere on the top 5, so I can seal my championship. I can be safe on my championship.
What doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. That statement stands true for certain places in this country. It also stands true and probably is the motto of a bunch of mad hat adrenaline junkies who end up in these places to brave Mother Nature's fury. Getting lost is a way of life when you're covering a rally like the Desert Storm. And today, once again, we're completely and blindly lost. And there's a vast expanse of desert in front of us with a track. And we've asked a few locals, and again, we've taken a leap of faith in the hope that we find a marshal car before we hit the Pakistan border. The golden glaze of Jaisalmer brought with it 3 competitive stages of 71 kilometers, 38 kilometers and 70 kilometers in length around Birmar, Turkon Ki Basti and the Sam Dunes. It was a mix of dry lake bed infused with huge sandy sections. Only 25 rally cars took start from Jaisalmer and they would be going all out. Time needed to be made here. The revs needed to hit the limiter and they needed to hit constantly.
70-kilometer stage, I think almost about 20 to 25 kilometers was total flat out because of all straights. Very tricky in between because of the rocky section coming in and the narrow patches. The organizers threw in a lot of challenge for us this time in the second stage, that is the short stage. In fact, that's about a 40-kilometer stage, which had a lot of sand. In fact, it was more like an off-roading. I was wondering if our cars could make it through, but then yes, we did.
Since the start of the rally, this rally has been very, very unpredictable. We've exchanged leads quite a few times now. Like if you'll ask me, every morning, first stage we've done good, and then next stage we lost whatever we have gained. So what can I say? Just that fight and that eagerness which is there in everybody to be the best is taking the motorsport to a new level.
In the middle of the third stage, as we stood waiting for the cars to pass and were helping marshals get a car out of the sand, the mighty Thar showed us a spectacle that leaves many shaken. It's only once adversity and anomaly pass that one realizes how lucky they were to have experienced it. So lucky that while going past us, the twister took with it the dust which it had thrown on the lens of our cameras, so that its parting shot would be clear. Well, almost clear. Inside the stage, however, luck had run out. Suresh Rana's Grand Vitara suffered an engine failure and the veteran driver had to drop out of the Desert Storm for the second time in a row. Those who did manage to get out of the stage had their own stories of how their luck almost ran out.
Multiply your regular speed breaker into 3 times. It was that big, and he gave me the perfect call. It's approaching, but reason being we had our exhaust failure. The exhaust was so loud that I couldn't hear him, and we flew over it and we landed like 30-40 feet away from that spot.
2 बारी टॉपल हुआ है, तो आप देख सकते हैं इसमें पूरी की पूरी ये जो बॉडीज है पूरी बेंड हो गई है, पूरी पिचक गई है, वहाँ से ऊपर तक पूरी पिचक गई है, रूफ भी पूरा पिचक गया, ऊपर से टॉप पूरी बॉडी ऊपर से पिचक गया है, जो सनवाइजर पूरा गाड़ी का इंजन में से ऑयल आ गया था सारा बाहर, पूरी दोनों साइड से बॉडी पिचकी है और बॉडी है, पर लकीली हमने गाड़ी टॉपल हो गई थी 2 पलटे खाने के बाद, छत नीचे थी और टायर्स ऊपर थे.
On the way back from Jaisalmer to Bikaner, the storm ran 2 stages, one of which was the legendary Thar Express. The Thar Express is a driver's delight. The navigator does not have to do much in the way of keeping the car on the road. The stage runs along the railroad between the towns of Nokra and Bap. The driver just has to floor the pedal, keep the railroad on one side of the car and pelt through the stage as the crow flies. And that is just what they did. Mishra took the lead in the power pig after Rana crashed out. Hot on his heels was Speed Spot teammate Harpreet Singh Bawa. Veteran driver Niju Padia's mean-looking Pajero came in third. In the moto category, CS Santosh came flying to the finish line and made the onlookers a tad giddy with his speed. He was followed by Jess David and Mohit Verma. The majesty of the Himalayas makes believers out of atheists. When silence collides, who are we to signify? The seasons have changed. My distance shall be gauged.
I am standing at a height of 4,850 meters above mean sea level. That is probably halfway to Mount Everest. This is the top of the Barlachla Pass, one of the highest amongst the 11 mountain passes traversed this year at the world's highest motorsport battle arena.
As you all know, it's one of the toughest rallies in the world.
It is something, like an addiction. Terrain is arduous, right? High speeds.
high altitude.
From 8,000 to 18,000 feet in a day.
I'm a Fauji. We have leave in the year. We sacrifice our leave to come and do this event.
Yeah, I think you gotta be slightly, off to do this kind of stuff.
We are praying to God just complete the rally. Raid is about completing the rally.
रेड में तो आपको पता है ये रेड तो अगर आप फिनिश करेंगे बहुत बड़ी बात है.
Mighty Himalaya, born of the great Pamir, relentless, formidable and unforgiving. They say when you ascend the Himalayas, it is like entering a hall of lords. You feel humbled in the presence of sheer majesty. Another thing that humbles you is the culture of the Himalayas, something that has resided in the highest reaches of the world for thousands of years. Something as great and awe-inspiring as the Almighty's great sculptures in the company of which it thrives. Something that stays with you long after you descend back to mean sea level.
Now we've been covering this rally since 2009 and the experiences have been those that will stay with us for the rest of our lives.
Karan, what's happening?
Well, Reed at its best. We stuck here, what Reed is known for.
See, the plans are definitely gone in for the toss. The stages ahead after this are not gypsy stages at all. The huge climbs, smooth tarmacs. The Vitaras are going to kill it. The bigger engines are going to kill it over there. So I guess we'll just have to wait and watch.
After the day's adventures of the third kind, the raid finally made it to freezing Camp Sarchu. Leg 5 was a mammoth day, 105 kilometers of competitive, which would entail braving the Gata loops and the Nakila Pass, and then on to the fast and beautiful but wily technical stages from Debring to Darth and back. But once again, the raid had other plans, and this happened. Veteran rally driver and 9-time Raid the Himalaya champion Suresh Rana hit a triple caution corner really hard and could not turn in time and lost control of his car, falling straight into a khud.
ये ऐसा नहीं है कि हम कोई प्रेशर में चला रहे थे, बिल्कुल ईज ऑफ होकर चला रहे थे, तो बस वो फर्स्ट कॉर्नर एक तो मैं विजिबिलिटी मान रहा हूँ इसकी सारी की, मतलब वो कॉर्नर नजर नहीं आया.
Abhishek Mishra, running second, fell prey to the same corner and he too totaled his car, ending his brilliant run. The top two Grand Vitaras had been claimed by the raid. For us at times now, the Raid the Himalaya is an annual test of production skill in the face of adversity. And after all these years, it has now become nothing less than a pilgrimage. We're all Raid fanboys here. And so as we leave you with some major Raid loving, the old adage comes to mind: what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
And that was our show for this week. We had a great time making it. We hope you had a good time watching. And remember to tune in next season for all the hard-fought motorsport coverage. Because, like we keep pointing out to the nation from time to time, the action begins here.